holiday season, a lot of people are going to be shopping for phones, either to give away as gifts or to take advantage of one of the specials that are going on right now to get themselves a brand spanking new handset. Now, a lot of friends have been asking me about one phone platform in particular, and that's Android. The Motorola Droid commercials for Verizon, My Touch 3G commercials for T-Mo, those are just all over the airways. And, you know, so they're like, oh, Whoopi Goldberg, Dana Carvey, Avril Lavigne, love them. So what is this phone? Is it the Google phone? Is it cool? Should I get one? Well, okay. First of all, yeah, it's pretty cool. If you're an Android fan, you already know that though. Now, if you're not a phone geek, i.e. you're like the majority of Americans out there, you might be looking at this wondering what the hype is all about. And even if you're interested in giving it a go, how do you choose a phone? There are so many choices out there on the market right now across most of the major carriers. So what I'm going to attempt to do here is sum up the Android OS, talk about some of the things that might be pretty exciting for the average consumer, and offer a few tips on stuff to look for if you're trying to pick an Android handset of your very own. Now when it comes to Android phones, since they all run the same OS, the biggest differences have to do with the form factor and the user interface. So with that said, let's take a look at these phones. Look at all the pretty little Android phones all in a row. Now, this isn't the full selection of Android phones that are available on the market right now, but it's a pretty decent selection, and it gives you a nice idea of the kind of diverse offerings that are out there for you. Over here on the right, you've got the Motorola Droid. This is put out by Verizon, and it's the one that's famous for being in those iPhone, I can't, Droid does commercials. Now, next to that, you've got the Droid Eris. This is put out by HTC. And beside that, you've got T-Mobile. This is the My Touch 3G. You've got the Motorola Click here. And T-Mobile also has the Samsung Behold 2, as well as the granddaddy of them all, the G1, which is the very first Android phone that came out about a year ago. Next to that, you've got the Sprint HTC Hero. Sprint also has a Samsung Moment out right now. And beside that, you've got, okay, well, hold on, let me back up here. If you notice, I talked about 3 carriers and not 4. If you're an AT&T subscriber, well, I'm sorry, there are no Android handsets out on the market for you right now. But right now, a lot of the gossip hounds are saying that AT&T will be getting an Android handset in 2010, early part of it. Now, we're hearing some good things coming your way. So if you like things like, you know, 1 gigahertz processor in your phone, then you might have some good stuff to look forward to. Now, if you can't wait, well, okay, this thing on the other end here, that's the HTC Hero, the unlocked GSM version. So I know a lot of people that use this phone on AT&T. You don't get 3G speeds out of it, but it does work. Now, you might have heard me mention HTC Hero a couple of times here. The reason for that is this is the unlocked GSM version. Sprint has a CDMA version, and Verizon also has a CDMA version, but they're calling it the Droid Eris. Now, a lot of people are saying that these are basically the same phone in 3 different versions. Now, they're pretty much the same under the hood. You can see some differences straight off the bat. They look a little bit different. This unlocked version has a little lip there. This one has kind of a different look and a different screen size than the Droid Eris, which is probably, you know, one of the more petite phones on the market at the moment. The next thing you might want to think about is keyboard. There are a few different choices out there. The let's see, the Motorola Droid has a hardware QWERTY keyboard, as does the T-Mobile Moto Click. You can tell that they look a little bit different. One's flatter, one's, the Click has a little more doming here, which is kind of like not typical for slider phones, but it does. And personally, I kind of like it. I think the Moment has a hardware keyboard as well. So, there are a few choices there for hardware QWERTY keyboard lovers. Now, if you don't like the hardware keyboard because it has a tendency to bulk up phones, this is the Droid Eris for Verizon. And the keyboard here is part of the Sense UI or user interface, and people really dig this a lot. Not everybody, but a lot of people do. And kind of the reason for that, I'm going to try to do this upside down here, but if you press and hold it, you have options, which is kind of neat. So look at that. Now you can plug in numbers without having to go to like an alt menu or a separate numbers menu. The implementation is just really nice and elegant. Now check out the difference in thickness. Now, basically what the big deal is about the Droid is not only does this look like a really serious piece of machinery right there, but it's also the fact that it's pretty thin. Look at that. That is pretty thin for a phone that has a keyboard in it. The other phone I've got here with the hardware keyboard, look at that. I mean, that's like a little chubbo. Yep, look at that size comparison. Now for UI, not all phones are sporting a user interface. Some of them are like just stock vanilla plain Android, but you could download what they call home replacement. Some brands also offer some out of the box, so here we'll take a look at a few. The Sense UI is just really easy to use. It's very, very elegant. It dynamically updates right on your home screen. Now, in all honesty, you could download other apps and widgets that'll give you this kind of feel. But what's nice about this is it comes straight out of the box like this. So you could add your favorite contacts to there. You could use the Twitter client and see what the latest tweets are. And there you have it. It's really pretty. It's easy to use. It puts all the stuff that you care about the most right where you want it. And you know what? If you don't like where something is, you could just grab something and move it around. It doesn't have to stay where they put it. And if you don't like something, look at that. You could just get rid of it. Now Samsung also has an interface. It's called TouchWiz, and it's on the Behold 2. Now, if you're familiar with TouchWiz because you have a Windows mobile phone that has it, then you're going to be familiar here. I know a lot of Android people don't necessarily dig it, but that might not mean anything to you. So if you're a TouchWiz fan already, definitely give it a shot. At least go to the store and play with it a little bit and see if you dig that. It's got this cube interface. It's this kind of 3D cube that you flip around, and it'll show you basically your multimedia. Some people think it's kind of neat. Some people think it's kind of gimmicky and a little extraneous. It all depends on what your taste is. The last user interface I'm going to go into right now is the Moto Click. Now, I'm sorry, it's the Moto Blur. It's available on the Moto Click. Now look at that. If you're really into social media, you're really into keeping up on status updates, I mean, it just is crazy with them. Look at that. It's like a whole kind of buffet of updates and stuff. It's all right there on your home screen. Some people love it. Some people find it a little bit overwhelming. I do, for example. So I'm actually just going to get rid of some of this because I don't need to know about every single one of these. So let's say I just want to keep just a couple on there, and then every time I turn on my phone, I can see it update. Now, what you got to know about the Moto Blur interface, this dynamic updating could really kind of drain your battery drier than a Dunkin' Donuts near Weight Watchers. Now, there's only so much information I can cover in a short video like this, so if you feel like I left out something major, fill in the gap by leaving a comment below. Help a fellow shopper out. If this has only whet your appetite for more Android information, definitely hit up PhoneDog.com, or actually DroidDog.com. As for me, this is Adriana for PhoneDog, and thanks for watching. or to take advantage of all the T-Mobile. You could use this with AT&T. Oops. This particular kind of telephone. Hello. Are you bound Whoop, whoop. I'll turn around for phone dog here. Or to take advantage, either to give away as gifts or